Speaking of athletes here, so something on a positive note here. Anyway, so some of athletes are paid $1 billion, high amount, right? And according to Forbes.com, some of the highest paid athletes in the world, the top 10, you'd be surprised how much are they earning and where are they earning it from? What are the sources of income? Is it just the sports that they play in? We'll see here. So, okay. Okay, so as you can see here, Conor McGregor leads the group of superstars that earns a substantial amount despite the pandemic that happened the year before. So let's take a closer look at their profile here. Okay. So you can see here their total earnings here, which is kind of surprising. Now there are two components here. They have the on the field earnings and off the field earnings. And you can clearly see here in terms of on the field earnings is substantially higher uh, based on your off the field. But that's not always the case here. So we'll take a closer look in some of the athletes here. So we can see here, Conor McGregor earned a pretty hefty amount of $180 million. Woo! It's a lot of zeros. Anyway, what's interesting here, he earned majority of his 180 not by fighting. Obviously, he already, retired before and then came back at the age of, he's now in his early 30s. And majority of his earnings, as you can see here, 158 million is generated from outside of his fighting. And as you can see here, he invested a lot in, in different business ventures, and one of those is obviously the sale of whiskey brand proper number 12. Also made endorsements regarding DraftKings. You also have video game Dystopia. I haven't heard of this game that he was part of. Contest of Heroes and lifestyle brand Roots of Fight. So meaning, he's leveraging his active, career in UFC in order to gain more revenue in other investments or other ventures here. Now, here we have one of the more popular and best players in football. You have Lionel Messi, who earns a substantial amount still at number 2 with 130 million. Now, despite his young age, you can see here majority of his earning is based from his playing in football, playing for Barcelona here. Now, only a third of his earning is only from outside of playing, meaning endorsements from maybe from Nike and so forth. So obviously, how they generate their revenue or income may differ, but at the end of the day, as long as they generate such substantial amount is always great. Then next we have third, we have Cristiano Ronaldo, another football player, one of the best players, comparable to Lionel Messi, who only earns 120 million, but still substantial. And you can clearly see here, a substantial portion of his earnings is due to his on-court, on-field accumulation of 70 million. But if you notice, his off-field, earnings is still substantial as well, meaning leveraging his notoriety, partnership with brands like Nike, and obviously being active in the social media, whether Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter. Having 500 million, is not a bad deal to have, especially if you are trying to get significant traction with your fans. Number 4, we have Dak Prescott, who plays in the National Football League. So he's the quarterback at the young age of 27. He got his money after a year of being franchise tag the year before, and he was injured despite that. Anyway, so you can see here that majority of his earning, 97.5 million, came from the new contract that he got, and as well as the signing bonus that he got, and only got 10 million from off the court partnerships or endorsements here. Then number 5, we have Lebron James, one of the greatest players, or the current active greatest players in the NBA, who earns less than 100 million, despite his aging in his late 30s. Only a third of his earning is from his on the field. but a majority of his earning is from off the court, meaning from promotions from PepsiCo, Coca-Cola to Nike and many other companies that he have ventured and as well as started, has helped him generate a substantial earnings here. Here we have another football player. So Neymar is a Brazilian football player, still a young age in his late 20s, earns less than 100 million, and a majority of his earnings comes from playing the game of football. Only a small portion, less than 20 million, comes from partnership with brands and so forth. At number 7, one of my favorite players in the field of tennis, Roger Federer, is still playing despite, in his late his age in the late 30s, who earns 90 million. But what's interesting here, you can see here, despite not playing because of injury, who only earned less than, a million, a fraction of a million, but majority of his earning is through endorsement, which is obviously if you are a very popular player and you exude winning and all the things that is necessary to be a endorser. Some of the companies who have partner are some of the more popular and lucrative partnership. You have Rolex, Credit Suisse, Uniqlo, to name a few. So still doing well despite his age. Hopefully he can still play a few more years before retiring for good. Okay, and at number 8, we have Lewis Hamilton. Is an F1 racer. So he's in his mid to late 30s, who earns around 82 million. And as you can see here, the 6-time Formula 1 champion has earned majority of his earnings through on the field by racing, by earning 70 million. Only a small portion of this is during partnership with companies like Tommy Hilfiger. You have Monster Energy as well as Puma, to name a few, earned him a little over 10 million, or roughly about around 12 million. Number 9, we have one of the GOATs, the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So at number 9, we have Tom Brady earning $76 million. Majority of his earning is through his playing, earning 45 million, and the rest is earned by partnering with, as mentioned, with other companies here. So good for him. Hopefully he can play until his mid 40s. I don't know if he's planning to play until late into his late 40s on the way to his 50s. We'll wait and see. Anyway, for our last one, we have Kevin Durant, another NBA superstar in his early 30s, who came from injuries, now playing some of his best games. He earns 75 million. A portion of it, or less than half of it, is by playing basketball, and a majority of it is come from off the field partnership and other activities here. So it just goes to show here, if you're an athlete, obviously you can leverage what you have done during on the court, and obviously maximize your foothold, your presence in other field, and to the best of your ability, if you can milk it, why not? Like if you're Tom Brady here, right? If you can keep on continue playing, winning championships, winning Super Bowls left and right, then obviously companies will continue partnering with you in the long run here.